Hello, my name is Syed Jimenez, and today we'll be discussing the sociological impacts of COVID-19. From China, it traveled its way to different parts of the world where it then became a world pandemic. It has impacted our day-to-day lives through the implementation of social distancing, which has caused the decrease of human interaction, the unemployment rate to increase, and the schools to shut down all over the country. In this presentation, I will be talking and discussing about the causes and effects of all these changes. One main factor that has changed is the way that humans interact with one another. Humans are social creatures who need contact with other humans to survive and stay sane. In many cultures, including the United States, many people greet by shaking hands, hugging, or embracing one another, as seen in the photos. The BBC's articles, How Personal Contact Will Change Post-COVID, stated that physical contact is part of the mechanism we use to set up our relationships, friendships, and family memberships. These cultural norms are now being reduced due to the fact that social distancing of 6 feet and a stay-at-home order has been placed. This has limited the interaction between family and friends. The increase of isolation, decrease of interaction, and the lack of touch has caused mental health to decline. The article by the scientists gave the example of people who work in space. They often report the feeling of confusion, episodes of anxiety, and depression when isolated. Since the pandemic, 40% of adults and older have reported symptoms of anxiety and depression. Also, people from minority groups have higher rates of depression compared to non-minority groups. This is due to the inequality in races. Hispanics have a 33% of rate of depression compared to the 23% of non-white Hispanics. Also, the rate of suicide has increased, especially during the holidays where people are accustomed to gathering with family. Another factor that has been influenced due to the need of social distancing and the high amounts of COVID cases has been the shutting down of public schools. People of all ages have suffered from the disruption of their education, including me. From personal experience, I have been accustomed to waking up every day, getting ready for school, seeing my friends, and having a set schedule and having in-person lectures. Schools do not just teach students about math and history, but also help students to learn social cues, the understanding of following rules, listening to authority, being exposed to different cultures, beliefs, and values. The class textbook Sociology, The Essentials on page 340 stated that schools in the United States are more heavily regulated, whereas in other societies it is more common to learn from elders and is less formal. This means that students' education here in the U.S. has been more heavily impacted than in other parts of the world by corona. There is an inequality in learning due to the low-income families not having some resources for at-home learning. This can include electronics like computers, laptops, even phones for Zoom calls, and printers to be able to print out worksheets they need. In general, students are losing interest in school and their academic performance is low. It is also hard for students because their schedules were made by the schools compared to now. Through experience, I could say that it is harder to make your own schedule independently because of how easily it is to get distracted. Now students are having the challenge to adapt to new school structures of education where they have more opportunities for distraction like electronics. This could include social media, TVs, computers, Netflix, and gaming. This causes students to not retain the knowledge that they need or that they are learning in class or in online instruction, which causes their scores to drop tremendously. While public schools have been struggling to reopen, private schools have been able to bring back its students and allow them to have an advantage academically. They do not have to deal with the structure of online schooling as well as not having to independently learn their materials. This has been a possibility for private schools because they have the sufficient funds to implement new equipment or precautions to allow social distancing to occur in their schools. As seen before, there is still inequality between the classes, with lower income students struggling to adapt to online schooling, while private school students are going through class as usual as if nothing was happening. Lastly, The pandemic has created job instability. California's rate of unemployment spiked in April 2020 to 9.3%. Many families were impacted by at least one family member in the household losing their job. From being able to live comfortably, 46% are having trouble paying for their monthly bills. Few research on economic fallout pointed out that many people have been taking retirement or savings money to barely make it by each month. They have also stated that depending on a person's ethnicity, race, and financial status, they would be more or less likely impacted by COVID. In this course, we have recently learned about the unemployment rate and how minority groups had a higher rate of unemployment compared to the white population before. Ironically, both of these rates are similar, where we see Black and Hispanic communities having higher unemployment rates than the white community. In addition, there was a higher rate of unemployment during April for part-time workers, according to the Economic Policy Institute. I actually work part-time, and I was lucky enough to have a job still. Because of COVID-19, our franchise let go more than 11 employees that were all mostly part-time. It was scary not knowing if I would have a job the next week, to be honest. Although the rate of unemployment is decreasing, half of the people who were let go are still unemployed. It has been almost a year since the pandemic hit, and California has issued another stay-at-home order. Students like me are still struggling to adapt to online schooling. People around the world are anxiously waiting for everything to go back to normal, but the reality is that it will take some time before things go back to the way they were. One thing is for sure, COVID-19 has and will always impact our society. Thank you.